All right. Hey, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, I'm going to share with you a true. Now, usually I put crime in quotes because it's not usually a crime necessarily.
Yeah,
True, I leave alone. This one I'm going to put the true in quotes, and we'll talk about after. But I'm going to tell you right now the story that I'm going to tell you, which was compiled from a few different sources, comes primarily from one, which again I'll mention after we're done here.
Okay.
So some of what I share with you right now is factually accurate. Most of what I share with you was documented by the people who experienced it, and they claim it was true. They have not let on otherwise. Right?
Okay, but still, air quotes.
I'm going to say that for me.
Was it actually a crime?
No, not even a crime. It's just a true tale, creepy tale from the 1980s. All right.
Okay, all right.
So I don't know what this is about yet, but Kat, quick sidebar. Knowing the things that Will judges are silly to believe, like my cryptids and my aliens, true in quotes means Will doesn't believe it, so we shall see.
Good point. Thank you.
Hey guys, I just happened to see you guys talking over to the side, so I came over here. I heard what you said.
It's not about you.
I think it's fair.
Totally justified. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna, as always, for folks listening, I'm gonna adopt a silly voice as best I can, consistent with what I understand true crimes sound like. I'll play some music in the background, but if you have any questions, comments, or any better jokes, please stop me and let me know at any time, and we'll take care of that. Otherwise, we'll pause every now and then in a very dramatic fashion to allow for some discussion.
I'm going to pay careful attention to the music.
There's no meowing. Kat, please don't pay attention to the music. That was just...
This is for the audience. This is ambiance.
It's okay if you don't pay attention to me. All right.
Kat watches movies and looks in the background actors. I saw him in another movie. I saw him. Weekend Johnny's scared.
Although it was late 1955, the anonymous package read Happy Easter when it arrived at the U.S. Office of Naval Research. Once opened, it revealed a copy of Morris K. Jessup's book, The Case for the UFO, Unidentified Flying Objects. Look, John's all proud of himself already. Like, he figured out.
Look at yes. He's reveling.
Nailed it.
Weekend Johnny's reveling.
This curious edition of the book, however, was filled with handwritten notes in different shades of ink, appearing to capture a debate between three individuals. The trio, it seemed, agreed upon two things. One, the author of the book was close to discovering their technology. And two, something must be done. This is the true story of the Montauk Project. Doesn't ring any bells, you know. I mean, the game isn't to figure out if it's going to ring any bells, you know.
No. Will kind of pretended in our pre-show discussion that he didn't tell us what the story was, but he suggested that John might know a little bit about this one. I don't know if he has knowledge of my knowledge, or he just, because it's UFO, it's in a bucket that all you people know each other, right?
There was potential for probing, so
kind of discrimination,
right?
You might know about it.
Prejudice, I should say. No, John. But I think at this next paragraph, you'll realize why I've said what I did. A year after the ONR received the unusual publication, they summoned the author to explain the annotated book. Immediately upon examination, Jessup noticed something familiar. The handwriting of the scribbled notes resembled that on a series of letters he had received from Carl Allen. In those correspondences, Allen told tale of secret government research that used the unpublished theories of Albert Einstein. Allen claimed that in 1943, an experiment to make the USS Eldridge invisible to radar.
Oh.
Instead, vanished the Navy ship from existence for several minutes before it reappeared in the Philadelphia shipyard.
What?
And when it returned,
What?
the vessel was the stuff of nightmares. Some of the sailors were fused to the ship, their flesh and bones intertwined with the steel. Those more fortunate simply went mad.
Oh, man.
All right, now.
That's the kind of thing Kat would be laughing uproariously.
Yeah. Look at that dude.
Well, if I saw it.
Look, they're fused into the ship. That's
He's still
hilarious.
alive, but he won't last much longer. I mean, half of his body is part of the ship.
Kill me. That's so funny. See, she's still laughing.
I'm
Fused
coping.
to the ship.
I'm
That's
coping.
funny. He's
I'm coping.
Just a side note that I find funny. This guy, Carl Allen, was a merchant marine from 1942 to 1952. During his lifetime, he used many aliases, including Carlos Miguel Allende and Senor Professor and Colonel Carlos Miguel Cristofero Allende. And
Cerveza Crista.
And one time when he wrote to the rocket engineer Werner von Braun, he went as Dr. Karl Merid Allenstein.
Allenstein.
So I don't know exactly where you're going, but I'm from what you've said so far, I think this relates to the experiment of the same name. Okay.
Long Island, 1971.
Oh.
Electrical engineer Preston Nichols did not believe in paranormal activity. So,
Like Will.
he was thrilled to receive a grant to disprove the existence of mental telepathy.
Like
To
Will.
To disprove it. He wasn't a fan.
Oh yeah. Will
Yes.
Will would take a grant to disprove anything that we
yes.
find fun.
To his surprise, however, Nichols soon determined that psychic phenomena not only existed, but it behaved much like the radio frequencies with which he was more familiar. And in 1974, a few years into his research, Nichols noticed something peculiar about the psychics he had been studying. Every day, at the same hour, their abilities would be rendered ineffective. Their thoughts were, quote, jammed. I call that 3 p.m. for myself. Like every day at 3 o'clock, I'm like, I gotta just chill out for a little bit. 20 minutes.
You get jammed. All your abilities.
Little did you know you were writing telepathically
gosh.
and then you were getting jammed
Right.
up.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're channeling the thoughts of aliens, actually.
Oh.
Blues
Could be true.
Connection.
It could be true, John. Suspecting
You need a grant to prove it.
I'm writing grants to disprove psych. That's what I'm doing.
Yes.
But don't try to write them at 3 o'clock.
No, that's what John's
No,
point is, yeah.
jammed up.
Suspecting that the psychic interference was caused by an electronic signal, Nichols scanned the airwaves. Soon, he learned that whenever the telepaths were rendered powerless, a 410, 420 megahertz frequency appeared. But from where? Desperate to find the source, Nichols did something I imagine John would have done. He placed a modified TV antenna atop the roof of his car, attached it to a VHF receiver, and went driving.
He's going to triangulate the source, Cat.
The powerful signal made quick work of Nichols' task, leading him straight to the eastern tip of Long Island. But just the tip, though. It was just Long Island. The frequency was coming directly from a football field-sized radar reflector, sitting precariously atop a building on the Montauk Air Force Base.
Where the UFOs are parked.
Yes.
Okay.
It was a UFO.
On the Air Force Base. All right. So we have the Navy and the Air Force are involved.
The military knew all along. They're interfering with telepaths around 3 p.m. just to give them a break.
Everyone, get a Dunkin' Donuts 50 donut hole bucket.
Munchkin bucket. Let's go.
I'm driving.
Right. We know who's not driving.
Oh. What?
That's an inside joke.
Yes.
If you're hungry,
Yes.
yeah.
You don't.
I'm just talking shit about Kat's husband. Don't
About my
mind me.
husband. Yes. He loves Dunkin' though, so he could take you straight there. If you choose Dunkin', boom. Like
Maybe.
one-way
Yeah,
trip.
maybe, right. 2 hours later.
Skeptical. You're a non-believer.
Long before the Montauk Air Force Base was established, the eastern tip of Long Island, and just the tip, held strategic significance. Nearly 200 years before Nichols went snooping, the Montauk Lighthouse was authorized to keep watch for British ships during the American Revolution. And because its location midway between two major American cities made it vulnerable to invasion, the military installation continued to grow throughout the First and Second World Wars. To protect it from German spies in the 1940s, the base was fashioned to look like a typical New England fishing village. But what was it hiding in 1971?
So this is true. So they really did, when they, in the 1940s, they had this base. They did make it look like a little small town. The church actually was the gymnasium for the soldiers. It was like the schoolhouse was the barracks. It was like so an aerial shot or German fishing boats, which they were more concerned about because it would be harder for them to know about that, would just see a town. And they wouldn't suspect, the military activity that was going on there.
Mm-hmm.
That's genius. That kind of like in plain sight camouflage, I guess, is like during World War II they did a lot of that, but it was more of like just with the literal camouflage, the big nets, and you would render things invisible that, or they would make them look like innocuous things like they did here at the base. So, but what else did they? What did you disguise the satellite dish as? It looks like a Shoney's big boy holding aloft. Instead of a hamburger, it's a large satellite dish. Don't mind this.
It could be a hot dog bun. Yeah, that's what it was shaped.
It's a plate. It's the plate. Yeah, the burger's on it. Yeah. Hamburger.
When Nichols found the source of the telepathic kryptonite, he thought it must have been generated accidentally. Although the base was still active in 1971, Nichols couldn't imagine a use for an antiquated radar system. Unfortunately, the tight-lipped security stationed there were of no help. They would only say that the array was used as part of an FAA project. And while Nichols found this justification to be unbelievable, it was not as remarkable as the truth Nichols would later discover. But he would need to wait a decade before he would remember it.
Will keeps saying "but" a lot.
Experiment. He just say "but." Yes.
I like big bots.
There's the T-shirt.
Yes.
So something related to the FAA, and yet it's disrupting telepaths. Verified by the funded, the study that was funded. So first we know telepathy exists. Is that part of your in quotes true? I'm sure. And then the fact that they're being disrupted, also part of Will's in quotes true.
But
But
FAA, is that Federal
Yeah.
Aviation
Authority?
Administration? Yeah.
Administration.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think so.
Are they involved though? Because the people there were just saying,
Right.
"Oh, it's just an FAA thing. We don't."
Part
know
of the smoke
for sure."
train? Yeah. Okay. I'm super intrigued.
Let's find out.
Let me hold you up.
Me too. Me too.
1984.
Oh, good
Nichols
year.
had been researching metaphysical phenomena for 13 years when he learned the Montauk Air Force Base had been shuttered. Finally, Nichols could examine the mysterious installation without fear. Or so he thought.
Of aliens.
Or could you?
When Nichols arrived, he found the main gate was open, and the windows and doors of the buildings throughout were likewise left ajar.
Huh.
Furniture, equipment, and documents were everywhere. It was as if the military base had been deserted, and in haste.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a
Oh.
that's a GTFO situation.
Yes.
Like just leave everything where it was.
Yep, get the order out.
We got to go. Huh.
Brad's got an idea.
Yes, Brad, that's correct. It's the
No Googling,
AN
Brad.
FPS 35 radar. That's correct.
No Googling, Brad.
Yeah, don't get ahead of the story. Stay with us. Hey, Nick.
I'm not looking at the comments. I don't want to be spoiled.
As Nichols searched through the debris-strewn Air Force Base, he found the remains of odd high-voltage equipment. But his most curious discovery was a man living among it. When the stranger's eyes fell upon Nichols, however, he was more frightened than Nichols. "It's you," he said, sounding terrified. The man explained that he had not only been living at the deserted base, but he had been working there when it was abandoned a year earlier.
Oh.
Then, the stranger told Nichols an experiment had forced the military to flee. The secret project had opened a portal to hell and freed one of its monsters.
Whoa.
And the man who led this endeavor, the stranger concluded, was Nichols.
What?
Is the dude him from the future? What? Then he would have said, "It's me." He
Right,
would have said,
yeah,
"It's
yeah,
you," wouldn't he? Yeah. He said, "It's
Maybe
me."
it was Weekend Nichols.
Having
Oh,
a hard
split
cider.
personality.
Sleep it off, Weekend Nichols.
Now I'm torn. A portal to hell. What's that got to do with UFOs? Nothing. But then now we're working our way back to telekinesis, right? And extra. What are you laughing
John,
at?
I'm
Will?
laughing
Extrasensory
at-
perception.
I'm laughing at this-
getting jammed up.
The stuff I'm leaving out makes this even more insane, which I'll tell you after we get done.
No, you're leaving.
Okay.
I
these
have to
out.
for
Oh, no.
time and efficiency.
Hopefully, no parrots.
Portal
if there's any
to hell.
parrots,
But I was just
leave them
thinking,
in.
this story, John, touches upon all of your things except Bigfoot. But otherwise, and we can modify it to make it Bigfoot is the monster that came out from hell, maybe.
Could we? Yeah.
We can add
It's the Bigfoot from hell.
There you
That's
go.
another movie I haven't
Yeah.
seen. That could be great.
Terrifying, yeah.
The Montauk Bigfoot from hell. Greenlit. Call Netflix.
You joke, but we know that you'd be watching that as soon as it came out.
Yep.
Nichols doubted the unusual man's story. After all, Nichols had never worked at the Montauk Air Force Base. And monsters from hell were the stuff of B-movies. Nevertheless, Nichols continued to research the mysteries of the Air Force Station. As he spoke to long-term residents of the community, their bizarre accounts only raised more questions. Several townsfolk told Nichols it once snowed in August.
Oh,
The chief of police revealed that crimes were perpetrated in specific 2-hour blocks.
They're on a schedule.
it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Get burglaring.
Get burgling.
It's all the telekinetics on a rampage. Like, I've lost signal. And they go
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm going to get my mojo back. Just steal a 6-pack.
And many
Hold up this convenience store.
recalled animals overrunning Montauk en masse. As the puzzles mounted, a man appeared at Nichols' lab, bringing with him potential solutions and the threat of murder.
So this story has everything, man. It does everything.
You have animals gone wild.
Yes, topless.
Bigfoot from hell in Montauk. There's radar, old radar.
And the Bigfoot would go crazy because he's also wildlife, so he would be running amok as well.
Double muck.
Double
Was there a
muck.
pond? Did they have a little Ogopogo or a Loch Ness monster in the pond as well?
All the cryptids. Oh, John, that would be a movie for you. A movie with all the cryptids. Somehow they joined forces.
That's the portal.
Avengers of cryptid movies.
Yes.
Monsters assemble!
Yeah, it'd be like,
Rah, 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 rah.
Squawk, squawk.
When Duncan Cameron appeared on Nichols' doorstep, he seemed too eager to help. Immediately suspicious, Nichols did what he had done with anything else out of the norm. He sought to connect Cameron to Montauk. So Nichols drove Cameron to the Air Force Base. And, to his surprise, Cameron not only recognized it, but he knew many of its minute details.
Oh.
But before Nichols could learn how Cameron had gained such familiarity, something even stranger occurred.
What? Even stranger?
When the pair entered the transmitter room, Cameron fell into a trance. His eyes vacant, he began spewing information uncontrollably. The most shocking of his revelations: he had been programmed to befriend Nichols, destroy his lab, and kill him.
this is everything, I'm telling you.
This is like Stranger Things. Stranger
While
Things.
he's in the lab, he has all these abilities. It's not a disruption field. It's a field that sucks in all of the abilities and focuses them there in the lab. So he's going insane because he's getting all the abilities and wouldn't normally have them, and they're manifest. It's like a refocusing beam.
That's a little spot on, John.
I mean, that's
I mean,
what I
this
would
is
do.
the space you live in, so yeah.
You'd put an antenna on your car and you would do
This
this.
is the kind of bullshit story I'd watch a movie
Yeah.
about.
This is John's biography we're talking about here.
It's you.
Which John? Which Johnny?
That's right.
Weekend Johnny.
Weekend Johnny.
Cameron was just... Sorry, where am I? Okay. Cameron was as shocked as Nichols to learn of his deadly programming. Now, free of it, however, Cameron committed himself to helping Nichols unravel the mysteries of Montauk. As luck would have it, the pair soon realized that Cameron was, quote, an extremely operational psychic, end quote.
Okay.
And as
Of course.
Cameron began recalling more memories that had been hidden from him, so too did Nichols begin to remember long, dormant experiences.
Oh.
While there was still much to be learned about what they began calling the Montauk Project, Nichols was now certain that he had been involved. But it wasn't until 6 years later that Nichols would learn just how.
So, 1990?
1990. Nichols had...
It was him the whole time.
It was the friendship he had all along or something.
See, he did travel back in time to tell him. I know it. I knew it.
It's even fucking crazier than that, man. I gotta tell you, maybe off air if we don't have time, the craziest shit. That's just, like, I had to leave out. It's just fucking bonkers.
Wow.
By 1990, Nichols had spent 6 years attempting to uncover the truth about Montauk. He had stumbled upon a high-level secret project and feared it may cost him his life.
Again?
Well, I mean, he's got some government secrets he knows, he's got... And he knows people are gunning for him. Yeah, they tried to send this guy after him, yeah.
Right.
He's wanted dead for some reason.
So, he went public. Nichols gave an unannounced lecture at the United States Psychotronics Association.
Oh, yeah. I was there last week.
Yeah, card carrying member.
Yeah.
On the board.
Just there.
Next, he shared military document. Next, he shared the military documents he had discovered at the abandoned base with an unnamed U.S. senator. Perhaps safer, Nichols still didn't know his own seeming role in the project. That is, until he constructed a Delta T antenna.
Again, probably something only John knows about.
Another antenna.
On the roof of his laboratory. As one does. And as he soldered the wires together, connections in his subconscious were also made. Suddenly, Nichols remembered everything.
As he soldered, he remembered everything.
Yes, because he's a robot.
Wow.
I don't know what I think about repressed memories, but I mean,
We found the line.
but if they're not pulled out of you by a psychologist, but rather invoked by soldering,
Yeah.
it's more believable.
But a 1 in 50 electronics kit, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's one thing if someone convinces you, but like if he revealed them to himself, it's a little more believable because most of it, like in the Satanic Panic, a lot of that was like suggestion that was kind of laid into the minds of these people that remembered something.
Yeah,
but
Michelle remembers, yeah.
unless he's insane, which I suppose is a potential,
Yeah.
he's remembering on his own by going through some exercise and possibly
a somatic trigger is
pulling
doing
in some
it.
delta waves he otherwise was not being focused on.
I honestly expected when I read this that he's installing the antenna, it was going to be struck by lightning. And then that was going to be the thing. But no, he was just soldering wires.
Right. And he remembered, that's right, I'm Benjamin Franklin.
Right.
I remember now.
Guys in
Where are my keys?
white jackets show up and take them off in a paddy wagon or whatever. Yeah.
Powdered wig.
He's got a powder wig on and no pants.
Yeah. Why no pants? What's that got to do with anything?
Make him truly insane seeming.
Right. The powder wig, totally sane. No pants in the paddy
There you
wagon. Now we know where Will draws the
They have
line.
laws in Montauk. Come on. It's a historic site.
Oh, you could be flopping and drooping, but better not wear a wig.
Nichols remembered that he had began working for the Montauk Project in the early 1970s. The extra-governmental organization had formed to continue the
Wait. I've got to stop you. He just remembered he used to work there?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
In 1990, he did this
Yes.
he was putting an antenna that maybe
He was soldering. Yes.
reminded him, whatever, 20 years earlier, he began his work in the Montauk.
He forgot he worked there?
In 1971,
Well, yeah.
is that when he put the little antenna on his car and it brought him there and he discovered?
That was actually in
was-
1983, I think it was. Or 83.
Oh, he's a high-functioning psychic, and when they channeled all the stuff, he had a blowout and it damaged some memory neurons.
Right.
Oh
no,
my
I got to
God.
get
Okay.
the year straight
All right.
here. I thought 84 was when he learned, oh, it's closed now. I can go check it out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the year before. So in 71, he began his experiments with psychics. He got that grant.
Yeah.
He continued doing his research until it was in 1983 that I think it was, I got here, 1983, he's getting this interference. So 1983.
Okay, that's the driving around with the car. Right. Was just the year before.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
He gets to the base. They say it's open.
Okay.
We're doing our own. FAA's doing something here. A year later, he learns it's closed, so he goes back.
So only a year passed in between him finding the interference and then being like, hey, I got to go check this out. Okay.
And of course the guy said it's you because you used to work there. It's like, not for nothing, you're still wearing your ID badge, dude.
That's what that is.
I've just never taken it off. I thought it was a birthmark. So it's not time travel. He forgot a whole damn career? Okay.
Right.
All right.
The extra-governmental organization had formed to continue the controversial scientific goals of its predecessors from decades earlier. The team was to create metaphysical tools that could assist the U.S. military. To help in their paranormal goals, the project made use of the Montauk chair. First constructed in the 1950s, the chair leveraged the abilities of the psychic sitting upon it, amplifying their powers.
Why is this funny?
I don't know. I'm trying to picture.
She's coping.
The chair.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm really trying coping. I'm trying to picture what does this chair look like.
It's like an electric chair, but it's like, I can see colors. I can hear flavors.
It was constructed in the 1950s. It was a beanbag chair. It was a beanbag chair. Very popular
chair.
at the time.
No, you do. No, it wasn't. Stop. Kat's going to believe that and spend the rest of the episode thinking it's a beanbag chair. Quit it.
The rest of her life avoiding beanbag chairs.
In the
It's all the static electricity it builds up, amplifies your
Come over
psychic
here. Come over here.
powers.
I've been the feet on the carpet too.
Oh, don't touch me.
Okay, so psychic amplifies the powers of the psychic sitting in it.
Yeah.
In the 1970s, while Nichols worked on the project, the role of the psychic fell to Cameron.
Okay.
He was the guy in the chair.
Yes.
And while the technology that powered the unusual furniture wasn't fully understood, it was believed much of it was provided by the Syrians. You know, the race of aliens who come from the star system known as Sirius.
Oh, not the Syrians,
No,
but
pivot.
Not
the
serious.
Syrians.
Pivot. Yeah.
And I'm still stuck on a
John, this has
beanbag
got
chair.
all your stuff in it, man. I'm telling
No,
you right now.
Kat, forget the beanbag chair. Put that out of your mind. Imagine the electric chair. It's so much easier.
It's closer to that. Yeah, it's closer to that.
So not only they're focusing energy to the base, not only to the dish, not only to the room, they're bringing it down to this narrow little pipe that right in the back of this freaking chair.
Yeah.
A chair.
That can blow out your memories, apparently.
Well, yeah. We're going to, well, really, it maybe,
Okay.
It works the opposite way, I think, John. The chair takes the psychic energy and works at the same, the way you described the path, but in reverse.
Oh.
Using the antenna ultimately to magnify the power.
Oh, you're the battery.
Yeah. So
are you like the battery amplifying the Syrian's signal?
So these guys were trying to see, can they use mind control over long distances? Can they do remote viewing over long distances? Can they have you read someone's mind over long distances?
Yeah. And before you continue, point of order, we haven't heard anything about the portal to hell in a while.
Yeah.
Is that still open, or are we getting back to...
Oh, yeah. No.
Weekend Johnny's a little worried about the portal.
I mean, did it get shut, or...
Well, we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
status?
We're going to get there, I promise.
Okay, I can wait.
Can you, though?
Over a decade later, the project had not only made significant progress, but their research had also yielded metaphysical phenomena beyond their dreams and nightmares.
Love it again.
While mind control finally seemed attainable, they also learned the Montauk chair could manifest objects from Cameron's thoughts.
Oh. Okay.
He thinks about it, it appears.
Munchkins, please. A bucket of munchkins.
A bucket of munchkins. Right. I'd like a 2024 boob bucket, but with a lid.
With the lid.
Munchkins are for closers, Cameron.
And after further experimenting with this form of conjuring, the team discovered time travel. With a proper attuning, the chair allowed...
Why leave that out? Just go ahead and throw this in too.
John, I cut so much out.
Oh my God. You had to cut things out. Everything's in here already.
Is the Syrian signal just a genie? Like, what have you wished for? That's what it is.
Sort of.
Okay, sorry.
With a proper attuning, the chair allowed Cameron to open portals to other eras. And while these discoveries were exciting, when Nichols and Cameron learned the project's true goal, they feared the worst.
Oh.
The researchers were attempting to open a time door to the USS Eldridge in 1943.
Okay.
And it kind of worked.
I'm imagining the Eldritch thing is that everybody ended up looking like the thing, like something from the thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Like-
the way it was described, it
just-
sort of
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Distorted and
Merged
wrong.
with the ship
Yeah.
or the hull of the ship. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
slipping in time and space, which is why they got like, embedded into the...
Mm.
Oh, man. First,
Yeah.
I could do this episode every week. I'm freaking amazed. You know that tingle in the back of your neck? Like, damn, I'm interested in this. I'm getting that. But maybe it's Weekend Johnny. I don't know. But
Weekend Johnny.
so this loops back to the ship. Like the thing they were doing was why did they want to go to the ship? Why were they trying to open a portal to this specific boat in this year? Is it causal? Were they trying to fix the thing that happened? Or did they cause the thing that happened, therefore it's self-fulfilling?
Oh.
So I'm not spoiling anything because this doesn't come out in the story, but what
No.
it seems by this person's account of the story, they were attempting to solve the problem. So
No,
part
to
of
save
it, and again, it's so many layers, but part of it is they believed that the reason that people were merged with the ship or went mad is because they were existing nowhere in time. And so part of their trying to attempt to solve the problem was that they were going to have a psychic like Cameron conjure a reality, an alternate reality for them to exist. They call it the bottle. So the ship is inside of a bottle. That they would have this reality so that the sailors would have a anchor of sorts, not mixing.
So they're not affected by the nothingness, either
Yes.
in physical shift, which is how they got stuck in the boat, or mental shift, they had a break because they were nowhere.
Yes. So they would think they're still on a ship in the water or whatever, because as long as Cameron was creating this for them. So that's part of it.
But if you cannot actually change the past, it's more likely they actually caused it.
Yeah, that's
They thought they were fixing it, but the act of fixing it is what caused it to happen in the first place, which is why they're aware of it, which sent them back to fix it.
could be, yeah.
Ooh.
Especially the way it comes. The way it comes to an end.
I've done the math. I've verified.
Yeah, and we're just a few paragraphs away from an ending, and
But why would they go back why would they go back to fix
Because it
something
already
that hadn't been
happened.
broken?
Because it had. That's the thing with cyclical time travel. It's always happened. Even though you don't know you've done it yet, you will because you did. Metaphysics is awesome.
Yeah. It is awesome. I agree with that description. It is awesome.
Also, you would agree with the literal definition of incredible.
Yes. Incredulous, even. Yeah.
Meaning not credible.
By 1983, Nichols and Cameron's concerns peaked. The project, they determined, must be stopped. To do so, they would leverage the combined powers of the Montauk chair and Cameron's psychic abilities. But they weren't quite sure when to enact this contingency. That is until August 12th. Now, on August 12th, 1943 is when the USS Eldridge disappeared.
Okay.
On that day, August 12th, 1983, Nichols and Cameron continued their experiments as ordered, when suddenly strange phenomena began. Well, stranger than, a lot of strange shit's going on this whole time.
Something weird finally happens. Stay tuned.
Finally, this story's interesting.
I'm there.
The otherworldly equipment began to whir and click until it appeared to sync with something beyond the scientist's perception.
The Syrians.
When?
Is it the Syrians that gave Doc Brown his nuclear?
That's exactly what I just was thinking of.
They're working together. The Syrians have teamed up with the Syrians.
Yes.
Maybe that's what he meant, not the country or All right, so they're clicking in on something here.
When, as often would, a time portal opened. Something beyond the scientist's perception when a time portal opened. On the other side, the USS Eldridge.
It already happened.
It was time to destroy the project.
Now, this is, I didn't, again, I cut out so much. And this would have been a cool thing to work in. But I'd have to plant it earlier, so I'm just going to tell you guys.
Okay.
Duncan Cameron is the psychic in the chair. In the full story, at some point, I'll just tell you it this way. At the end of the time tunnel, we see the Eldridge.
Yeah.
On the deck of the ship, we see Duncan Cameron.
Oh.
Is he in the chair?
No, he's on the ship. He's in the chair and on the ship. And Nichols makes sure that Duncan or Cameron doesn't see himself for fear that it'll affect the time, it'll be a paradox.
Paradox issues. Yeah. Yes.
What Cameron later learns, or at some point when his memories, are revealed, he said he was on the Eldridge in 43 and he jumped through the time portal and wound up in 1983. And that's ultimately the Cameron that comes and visits Nichols at his lab.
Oh, damn. So
are there two Camerons walking around now?
Again, I'm not going to get into this. It's just too crazy. And actually,
what happened to the one who was already in 83?
And actually,
right.
A lot of it's not even covered in the stories.
Okay.
So.
He went and killed the other self. Because he's younger now.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd have to, right? All right, we're almost done here.
As the others gathered.
Here we go.
As the others gathered at the Montauk Air Force Base stared into the temporal tunnel in amazement, Nichols crept to Cameron, still in the Montauk chair, and whispered, "The time is now." Immediately, Cameron imagined a hideous monster.
Oh, Bigfoot.
And instantaneously,
From hell.
the Montauk chair conjured the beast there in the base.
What?
The horrifying creature began feasting on anyone in its sights, destroying anything that stood between it and its prey.
What?
The surviving supervisors ordered Nichols to shut down the generators powering the equipment. But that failed to stop the beast.
It manifested fully in our plane.
The experiment continued unabated, as if powered by another force. So, Nichols destroyed the equipment itself, and finally, the monster faded into the ether.
again, I didn't put this in, but they start destroying equipment, the generators, et cetera, and still going. And the theory Nichols has is because they are connected to the Eldridge to this time thing now, that it's getting power from the Eldridge. And one of their plans is maybe we should send some of these guys through the tunnel on the Eldridge to shut that ship down too. So there's no power from anything. But ultimately, Nichols just starts smashing everything. This looks important. And sets fire to the circuits, etc. Yeah.
And so the monster, like there were two things happening, like the tunnel was happening, the experiment was being powered, and also
there's a monster running around. Yeah. Not for nothing.
Powered by the equipment.
Yeah.
And then faded away when the equipment was destroyed.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, like if you kill the main vampire, all of the other vampires melt into dust.
Right, yes, exactly. They just weren't sure the main vampire was, yeah.
Okay. Is there more?
Yeah, just to wrap up. It's the
okay. Yeah.
Go. And then we could talk about
Brandon's
some stuff.
invoking the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man at this point.
Yes, that's a good analogy. Yeah. What did you do, Ray?
Following the events of August 12, 1983, the Montauk Air Force Station was abandoned.
Again.
The most important and incriminating equipment was removed, and those who survived the deadly incident had their memories wiped.
With what?
Ow. Yeah.
Today, it's possible to visit Camp Hero, the home of the base, which opened to the public as a state park in 2002. You may not want to linger too long, however, because according to some, the experiments continue in secret today.
I want to go.
I know where John's going when he goes to Long Island RetroCon next year.
Oh, man. You kidding me?
So just one show note here as far as this story goes. Most of this is a very abridged version of the story told in the Montauk Project, Experiments in Time, written by Preston Nichols himself and published in 1992.
Okay.
Now,
all right.
Any bit of this seem familiar to you at all? Secret extra-governmental experiments.
Things. It kind of made me think of Stranger Things.
Yeah. If you remember the first season, they were experimenting with remote viewing, mind control. Mm-hmm. And at some point, because Elle sort of lost control, she winds up bringing this creature into their reality. Yes. And it runs amok in the base until they're finally able to get a hold of it. Mm-hmm. Well, it turns out that this story, the Montauk experiment or project, etc., is what inspired the Duffer brothers to create Stranger Things.
All right. Oh my God.
Season 5 coming in 2020.
Yeah. Yes. In fact, in 2016, Matt and Ross Duffer confirmed to The Hollywood Reporter that Stranger Things was originally sold as, quote, Montauk, before they decided to switch the name and the location to the fictional town of Hawkins, Indiana. Okay. They said that, quote, we liked Montauk because we liked the coastal setting, Matt Duffer said, adding that Montauk is the basis for Amity Island, the fictional location of Jaws, which is one of their favorite movies. But the setting changed when they realized, quote, it was really going to be impossible to shoot in or around Long Island in the wintertime, end quote.
Yes.
A filmmaker, Charlie Kessler, sued the brothers in 2018, claiming they stole his idea from his script, The Montauk Project. The Duffers denied these claims, and Kessler dropped the lawsuit in 2019.
And the somewhat amorphous job of the lab in Stranger Things now, knowing this, seems to be finding these extraordinary children with gifts and using them as a battery or an antenna to reach these other things, this other dimension, this other upside down, whatever it is. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and among the many things in this book, and there's a series of books, this is the first one that I used, but among the many things in the book, and I'll give you some of them that I didn't included the fact that it was believed that homeless people and children were abducted and subjected to experimentation to try to enhance powers or find powers, etc. A few survived and others had their memories erased. Some of the other details in the book that was that the facility was expanded to as many as 12 levels, subterranean levels, with several hundred workers working without anyone noticing. The tons of building materials or hundreds of workers required. Contact. Okay, so I told you about the Syrians. There was contact with other alien races as well that helped with the technology.
Sure. Of course.
And in one part of the
Beetlejuiceans.
yes, in one part of the story, they connect through some of the aliens through the time tunnel itself.
That makes it a time and space tunnel, technically, right?
Yeah. Oh, and I mentioned to you that Duncan Cameron claims to have leapt from the Eldridge. Yeah, and some of the other books they do some time travel stuff and interact with historic figures, like Jesus and
like Jesus,
Jesus. Yeah. Now,
while the Demogorgon bears very little resemblance to Sasquatch, I will point out that he did have big feet.
That's true. Very good.
Fair
Yes.
point. Yeah.
So I mentioned early on this Carl Allen character who kicked off all of this by sending this book and with his notes and then claiming that he was witnessed the Philadelphia experiment. It turns out that the story of the Philadelphia experiment comes from Carl Allen. 12 years later, after he had sent that annotated book about the UFOs, he admitted that he made the whole thing up.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Now, you remember Preston Nichols' story, though, includes the Philadelphia experiment as sort of kicking off his involvement with the Montauk Project, etc. He died in 2018, but until then, he had maintained that it was absolutely true. And there's other authors that played a role in helping him write the books also maintain it's true. If you research the book,
when they start coming after you, you've got to recant if you want to stay alive.
You're right. He is dead. Whoa, he finally caught him.
See what happened?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, he maintained it's true, but the book is considered fiction because of many of its historical inaccuracies and incorrect references. And there's a bunch of stuff in there.
Well, wait. Which part? Which part do they think is fictional?
See all. There's even small things that I thought, like he says the radar array was a football field size thing. I think it's 40 feet. It's actually 40 feet
big.
wide.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's a small thing.
That's right.
Like that, but.
Turns out it was a beanbag after all.
I was going to guess something to do with the chair is the fiction part. Yes.
Well, yeah. And if you think, this
it was more of a couch or a love seat, technically.
And the story lives on today. And many folks, just like, John, cross your fingers, hope that he'll meet a cryptid face to face one day. A friendly one.
Or a mean one that I can fight and win.
That
it has to be this big.
What's the smallest cryptid? But people believe the Philadelphia experiment still, and they believe the Montauk Project was real as well. So, and as recent as 2020, a gentleman named Joe Lafreno, who he has worked at the Camp Hero State Park for 18 years. So it opened to the public. He's been I think a security guard there. He says that he told the New York Post in 2020 that, quote, "It's a place that's dominated my life and my nightmares," end quote. He believes, he's a 53, well, I guess he's 57 years old now. He believes that he was one of the lost and tortured Montauk boys, popularized in Nichols' books as the folks that were one of the kids that was kidnapped and experimented on. He said, quote, "I was hypnotized by a certified hypnotist for about 40 minutes and all these memories flooded back," end quote. He believes he was abducted during the summer of 1980 and possibly during the summer of 1981 when he was 12 or 13. He says the first time, probe me, please. The first time, he said, there were two men waiting, dressed in civilian clothes. They ushered him and some other boys into a sunken house on the base. Later, he said he and the other boys were brought underground through Battery 113, one of the sealed gunneries left from World War II. He remembers lying on a table with wires coming out of him like electrodes.
John's like,
and I thought,
yay!
Wait, Will, tell me more about the electrodes. Why are you throwing the paper away?
Put them on the nipples.
Is it titanium? Are they an unknown metal?
I had one other note, but I guess...
Did you hear John when you said the guy was saying, "Oh, this has been the part of my nightmares for how long?" He went. John was like,
John orgasmed. I don't have the note here. Shoot, I had it. Anyway, but the other comment that he made that I thought was interesting, he said that under hypnosis, he recalled being led to this underground, the site of where this underground house is, he said on the base. And he believes that, he said, today, if my boss would give me permission, I would dig it up myself. I'm confident there's something under there.
Wow.